Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market, as we get ready for the United States stock market to open up in 28 minutes. We'll take a look over there at precious metals like gold and silver and the DXY, the US dollar currency index, and then we'll wrap things up by looking over there at any type of crypto news or any type of financial news as we get this fine Wednesday kicked off. YouTube is using some new streaming software today, or a new setup, so hopefully everything is running smooth. I hope you guys can see me just fine. With this software, I cannot even see how many people are viewing the stream right now. Oh, there we go. Okay, now it's starting to work. So hopefully it doesn't crash on me. Every time I do a live stream, and I won't ramble too much because you guys will probably get into it already. Every time I do a live stream, I always have to be like, hey, hold on, the thing crashed on me. Let me see if I can do it. Maybe they have fixed that so it doesn't do that. So maybe this will be our first stream where it doesn't occur. Okay, anyway, what do I do? Yeah, today is Wednesday. Let's see if we could do that. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday.
Dude, I'm so rusty. Did I even play my intro? I played the intro, right? Somebody say yes or no. Dude, it'd be crazy if I didn't. I think I did. I don't know. I'm just a little bit, okay. All right. Maybe I did. Yes. Though. No intro? Yes, you did. Look at what are you guys doing to me? Okay. Whatever. I didn't play the intro? No. Right? I went like this, right? I know I did. I know that I did. You liars, people who said no. Okay, rough start, right? Well, welcome to live streaming. This is what it's like to live stream. There's no editing. Everything just happens as it goes. All right, so let's see. Where do we begin? How do we dive in? Wild action over there in all markets, right? That Russell's been all over the place up there near those highs. You got silver still just going. It's at $66 right now. It's at 65. There it is, 66.01 right now. Crypto just nothing, right? So we'll kind of go through all of that stuff right now. I think it's, obviously right now it's just whether or not can we catch ourselves like an end of year rally, right? Like we'll look at high time frame stuff, and I know it's. I could see what X is like, right? Like they just want bull posting. Please, your God, bull post it, and that's all they really want. And I understand that, right? Most people, the only thing that they do is they buy assets and then just sit and wait, right? And so like the thing is, the 90% of people just want assets to constantly go up, not taking any action or any type of selling or anything like that, right? So just kind of passively putting money in. So you like seeing it go up. But we're kind of in a period where, like the higher time frame indicators, everything like that are pointing in the opposite direction, right? So we just kind of got to live with that being in this right now. Nothing's changed. That still is the case of where we're at in the crypto market. And of course, we'll point to those. We'll try not to spend too much time on it. I think, the biggest thing that we're in right now is obviously just this, and these are really hard, right? In determining, how big of a move is there going to be, or is there not going to be one right in here? And we're all just kind of patiently waiting on that, right? Our higher time frame indicators aren't going to tell us what is going to happen here in the short and medium couple of weeks term. It just gives us a broader idea on where the trend is heading, and the trend is pointing down, right? And so now it's just, ranging action and retrace action, and will there be one, and all that kind of stuff. And we're stuck in a lot of that indecisive moment right now, and it's been going on. We're on our 5th week of sitting in here, so of course everybody's patience gets kind of tested. Even for me, it's kind of like, well, how do I creatively say something new about that? A little bit difficult to come up with new concepts and ideas and discussions and everything like that. When everybody, of course, you just look at X, right? You could just see, like, what kind of posts get tons of what kinds of posts do not get tons of likes, and pointing to these things, and having the cheerleader accounts tell you, hey, we're still in a bull market, when things, don't look like it, at least right now. But they don't last for forever. And like I keep saying, I think we're way further into it. If you were just to kind of compare based on like everything that we've ever been through with past cycles, and phases that we're in, of how the market looks currently right now, it's like, it's a very good chance that even by like March, we've kind of gone through the depths of the worst of the whole thing. And that's not too far away, considering we're now in the second half of December. Then in March, we start doing the whole, all right, sentiment's at its lowest, back to the pointing green arrows to the upside again, and everybody's screaming for lower, and we do that whole game all over again for the years ahead or whatever, right? And that's just kind of the history of how things end up going. But till then, we're just kind of stuck here in this environment right now until we can end up getting through it. And I genuinely don't know right now on if we're going to see something more along the lines of that, or if we're going to see something more along the lines of this. Again, looking at it from the higher time frame, I think a lot of the bull posts, I don't know why I keep bringing it up, but I feel like it's just important to say it to my audience, right? Like, I think a lot of the bull posting that happens is one of getting caught wrong-footed before the October 10th liquidation, and then a mix of cognitive dissonance, right? Like, there's the cognitive dissonance of not thinking that could happen, that there could be a plunge like that, and then now being stuck in a position of holding after a position like that. All you're looking for is for something to go up, and that it'll tell you that that's going to happen. But the bigger time frame indicators don't imply that Bitcoin's going to be setting new all-time highs anytime soon. So we just kind of have to accept that until something changes, right? But even so, like, being right here, right, and like looking at how long this lasted for, I mean, essentially to right here, right? Like, it doesn't tell us we can't get some type of things to happen in here. And so I do think it's reasonable to think, hey, we could see some type of bouncing, but it's all trying to guess bear market price action is what we're trying to do. And bear market price action can be very, very erratic and wild. But I don't see anything implying bull market. But we're also stuck. And I hate it. I hate that we're stuck. I wish we'd either do one or the other and get on with it, but it is what it is. We're just stuck. Things that still show that we're doing, and maybe I'll come back to this one again. I posted this over there on X yesterday. I've been taking time off of posting on X because the crowd really just does want bull posting, and it's not, they don't want to hear from me right now. Right? So, but the way the market has acted, obviously, it's been an identical shape and form of exactly like what the end of 2021 looked like, and heading into 2022. Again, it still sets the upper opportunities that there could still be some type of ranging price action, an end-of-year rally. Hopefully, I think we would all appreciate an end-of-year rally to see some type of action come in. And the altcoin market has behaved like that. That was Ethereum that I was just showing in there. I showed this on the video. I wrote about this in the newsletter. We talked about this in the whole way down. And so, like, even, obviously there's a lot of disagreement with the ideas that I was presenting here in late September and early October. And then we got the liquidation, and then there was a lot of disagreement on it being a post-liquidation range, right? As we headed into the remainder of October and into November, a lot of disagreement being like, oh, a great opportunity to accumulate assets right here. It's like, nah, I don't think so, man. I think this is a post-liquidation range that's going to keep heading down. And so post-liquidation range it's acted identical, but it also implies we're ranging right now. And, how long that range will happen, and will it be a bigger retrace? We're all just having to kind of sit on our hands and wait and see how that's going to end up panning itself out. And that's the same thing here for Ethereum, right? It's all the exact same stuff, right? There's your liquidation right there, right? There's your post-liquidation range. There's your back test of the underside of the post-liquidation range. And then now you're just chilling. So we get to sit here and talk about this for months on end, if that is the case, that it does end up just being this kind of stuff. I'm indifferent on, if we can get the show on the road a lot faster, or if we're going to sit here for months and do it. I don't know which one it'll be. But I'll take it. If we want to start plowing down to the downside and get this thing over with faster, sooner than later, I'll take it. And that we can end this nightmare of this limbo state that my channel is in and the messaging that I have to present. I'm ready to get beyond this, but we have to, I have no control over it. But to think that it's not going to end up doing it, you do you. Where do we want to go from here? All right. So things we do want to see, right? So of course, we see that on XRP. So this is an interesting thing too that I've been monitoring. And we talked about this on Monday's video as well. Brought this up to you guys last week here on the channel. I've written about it in the newsletter 2.5 weeks ago. That we've really moved right on cue with past bears, right? Even for XRP, it's all identical. And the thing that's fascinating about it being identical was that 2022 was identical to 2014. It did these same things with the timing of them and how they were hitting right on cue. It was absolutely perfect. It was kind of ludicrous. Let me do this. It would go here, Bitfinex. Right. It was really kind of wacky how those rallies came in, and then even these peaks all happened on the same time to then go into capitulation together. So that obviously is very interesting to see that happening over here with XRP as well. And it makes a lot of sense because I reflect back on this. It's real easy for me to remember this time period right in here for multiple reasons. Outside of that, but this is when, by the way, my mother-in-law is still alive and kicking. Last week, she's been in a facility for months now. But last week she actually did get to go back to her house and now has a caretaker at her house. So that was a lot going on in my life last week, heading into this week. But this was when kind of everything kind of got crazy with emergency rooms and hospitalizations and all that kind of stuff. So I actually had a life event occurring while all of this was going on. But I also remember it from being like, wow, I can't believe I have all this stuff going on in my own personal life while this is happening at the exact same time. And I'm sitting there and I'm like looking at all my metrics, all my back end data, all my everything, and being like, why is there no excitement? Like, why is there not crowd euphoria happening here? Why is the rest of the market not rallying? Why is there not craziness? Where is everybody? What is happening here? There's something wrong. Like, where is even like the extreme excitement in the XRP community? Like, it just like felt like it wasn't there. Like, there was so much wrong going on. Like, obviously I had my own personal stuff going on wrong. But then there was something wrong with the market at the same time. And I remember how there was this big tornado in my life at the same time. And then but at the same time, crypto prices were up, where it was like, hey, you should actually be really happy right now. But something was not right in the market when that was happening. I couldn't put my finger on the pulse of what it was happening. But it's because the true excitement of the market had all taken place back in here, right? All the excitement, the post-election rally, and then the peak, and then Trump coin and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of like Coinbase app downloads hitting the top 10, and we never get there over here. And like that excitement never returned. And it was just very similar to us being like setting a new high in a bear market. And so it's like we've been in one for a very long time, right? It's like look at the prices here. We're back to where we were in November of 2024, just traversing sideways. And so it still seems like it's a bear, but it just hasn't had that capitulation leg. And I don't know how far a capitulation leg would go. If it'll maintain support zone in here and hold these levels here from April, or if it'll go digging down deeper. Structurally, it looks like it's probably going to go digging down deeper if one does come. And that leads me into talking about these things, right? Because we know that these lows can get taken. These August of 2024 here for Ondo, right? April of 2025, these levels, they're all getting taken out right here on Ondo, right? So we know that these are breakable at this point. We also see them be breakable over here on H bar. So H bar just took its out, right? So those levels are breakable. But what I think we would all hope for obviously is more along the lines of like Tron, right? Where it slams, but it just continuously keeps slamming and holding, right? And like during that time, right, XRP did not, let me see if I can put that log. There we go. All right, so XRP did not obviously hold that during that time, but we saw some assets capable of continuing to hold that floor and be able to do that back in 2022. You can see it just goes plowing through it. I won't forget it because I thought this is what XRP was going to do. I thought it would just continue holding that floor in there. And then we did see assets capable of doing that, but XRP obviously did not at that time. And so now I don't want to come on here and tell you, oh yeah, it's definitely going to hold it like Tron did when it could go plowing through it. I think we just kind of have to wait to get to that timeline, to that time frame, and look for the confluences in the market. And confluences are a phenomenal thing because then you can build up your case. You could say you got this, 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 and this. This is why it's so optimistic. And that's why this area, this time period is very difficult that we're in right here. And I keep kind of presenting it as being like there's a lot of contradictions that are happening in the market right now, right? Rather than saying there's a lot of confluences happening in the market. And so we have a market where, you know, the bulls, of course, want to grasp, it's called cognitive dissonance, right? And here we'll just say this, cognitive dissonance in markets. We'll just grab it from, we'll grab the definition from Google. I think it's really important to just read it. All right. Cognitive dissonance significantly impacts investor behavior during market crashes by creating mental conflict between the belief of being a smart investor and the reality of a losing position. The discomfort leads investors to employ irrational coping mechanisms rather than accepting losses, often exaggerating the crash effects at an individual and collective level. How cognitive dissonance manifests during market crashes. When the market crashes, investors holding a strong belief in their investments face an internal conflict. The market's decline directly contradicts their initial assessment, leading to several detrimental behaviors. Refusing to accept losses. Investors may hold onto losing stocks, hoping for a market rebound, because selling would mean acknowledging a poor decision, and that's a psychologically painful prospect. Selective attention or confirmation bias. To reduce the mental discomfort, individuals focus only on news and information that supports their original belief and ignore contradictory warning signs. For example, during the 2008 Great Financial Crisis, many investors ignored signs of the housing market. So what I was saying here is selective attention, right? So I have to try to look at it from both sides, right? So the bulls, of course, will say, look at the Russell, you know, it's poking up near the highs, which is a little bit back below now, but it's poking up near the highs. Look at the Bitcoin dominance. Look at whatever M2 money supply or things like that. And it's like, okay, yes, sure. But what about all the other things? And they're like, no. We don't talk about those other things, right? What about all the bearish indicators, right? What about silver breaking out, right? What about Fed cutting cycles typically leading to massive crashes, right? It's like, no. We ignore all these things. We focus on the things that give me my confirmation bias. And so my job is to try to kind of look at it from both sides and say, do we have confluence or do we have contradictions, right? Contradictory warning signs, right? And right now there's just so much contradictions happening throughout the market. It's hard to build this really strong case to say one or the other. And if you just ignored everything in macro and you only looked at it through the lens of how is crypto's price action behaving, how are the technical indicators behaving in the market, it's like very, very clear as day bear market. Like it doesn't, like we don't get it any clearer than this in crypto that it's a bear market. Like it's straight up all day, every day. But then, then you'd have to, of course, say, well, what do you think about the Russell trying to break out, right? What do you think about this, that, and it's like, yeah, those are there too. It's true. It's not like exactly crystal clear, perfect, but it just means we have a lot of contradictions, right? And we have to acknowledge that that is happening and not trying to force it, right? So I think a lot of people want to like force it to be one way or the other, and can't accept that. Hey, look, sometimes in markets, we enter these types of phases. We all want it to be like extremely clear to the downside, extremely clear to the upside. But then what happens is we enter ranging environments where things are very washy and a market is very undecided. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now. But still, it looks like it points to the downside. All right, doubling down. In an attempt to reduce dissonance and prove their initial decision was correct, some investors may average down by buying more of a declining asset, significantly increasing their risk exposure and rationalizing poor decisions. Investors create justifications for staying in a losing trade, such as blaming external factors like market volatility or bad timing or manipulation, rather than their own flawed analysis. This prevents them from learning from mistakes. So, we're in a particular phase in time where there is a significant amount of cognitive dissonance that's happening in the market, and especially with the behavior on social medias right now. And we just have to accept that. That's how it is. It makes sense that it would be like that. The crowd really thought we were about to explode right here. And we know that simply because of the biggest liquidation event happening in history. The content creators were all on that side, and the personal attacks I was taking for trying to present it the other side. And so then you get into another part right here where it's like everybody's still just long, right? And needed to go up. So, it's a weird phase, right? We don't enter these types of phases too often, but we're in one right now. And I think we just kind of acknowledge that's what it is. But it doesn't mean we just always go down in a straight line. Typically, bear markets are like rolling bear markets. They draw the bulls back in. Then they make the bears loud, and then they draw the bulls back in. It goes back and forth, an overwhelming trend. But right when we just kind of say, okay, well, we understand there could be a lot of rolling back and forth and all that kind of stuff. How do we look at it from the bigger term time frame stuff? And this is what it looks like right now, right? So keep it in mind, any plays that you're taking, right? Even I'm taking a little play here on XRP. I mean, I'd be crazy not to, but, I know my invalidation is not far away. That's why I've been very patient. It was very hard to sit patiently through here, checking the prices 10 times a day on my phone, going to the gym, driving, taking my kids to events, anything like that. I'm checking it. Finally got it. And now I have a really tight invalidation to be able to say, okay, well, it's not doing what I thought it would do if it goes any lower than that. But, can we get a rally? Can we get something silly? I gave an example of what XRP did back in 2014 during an environment like this. Again, not predicting that. I would statistically say extremely improbable that it would happen. It's not similar context where XRP is like drawn down 95% and then it just says like a 382 retrace or anything like that. But are you in an environment where something like that happened? Yeah, I guess, kind of. So, can we see some type of end of year rally where I think most assets would really just look like this, but can there be a couple out there that do a little bit more? I think that's what we would all cross our fingers for. But I have been thinking about it a lot. It is probably that Bear Week 2.0 will come one day again, I would think, within the next month or two. And I'm not looking forward to it. But I think it will come again. And when it does, anyway. So, but anyway, hopefully we can have, a Santa rally. Hopefully we can have something nice happen to us here as we head into the end of the year. And so maybe I can provide a little bit of hope on that. But, there should be tight invalidations. You shouldn't see Bitcoin. I mean, you have the 100-week here, so obviously typically breaking through the 100-week and closing below the 100-week is not a good sign. I'm not so sure if it truly matters as much as just taking out that low. That probably, to me, I would think if we actually start taking out that low, then maybe we can go ahead and get this thing set in motion and get closer to that bottom much faster than having to take, months and months for it to draw itself out. But we'll see. So, all right, there you go. You got the Russell at 25.26. Stocks open up in 4 minutes. Looks like they will open up slightly to the upside. Gold and silver are kind of all over the place. Gold's at 43.30. Silver's at 65.52. I think when we started the stream 26 minutes ago, it was 66.01. So there's some volatility over there in silver. Dollar, it's still just, talked about this in the newsletter. It's kind of still sitting in that middle ground too. Is it going? Is it waning? It hasn't taken out a low. If anything, it's just sitting in the middle. So still waiting on more decisive action coming over here from the dollar. But Bitcoin 87.7, XRP 192.8, altcoin market. Can we go ahead and see some level of a retrace show up in here? Same for Ethereum. But be mindful on trying to catch bottoms on assets that look like this, such as Ondo, which has been taken out at its lows. Careful of things like H-bar. Any of these things that are taking out yearly supports, you're just trying to catch a falling knife, not knowing where the support level is. So careful, careful, careful. Otherwise, the current median drawdown today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's at about 43% since early October. And we'll see if we can get ourselves a center line. And you know what I was realizing today as I was getting ready to go live? I was looking ahead. We will not have a Marcus in the Morning next week, as it will be Christmas Eve. And then I don't think we're going to be having one the next week either, as it will be New Year's Eve. So I don't know how to handle it. We have to plan on that. I know there will not be one next week because it's Christmas Eve, but the one on New Year's Eve, that would, is the stock market even open on New Year's Eve? Stock market, New Year's Eve. Yes, it is open on New Year's Eve. Okay, so we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated in the thing, in the posts. Chancellor, let's go team sideways. Yeah, exactly, dude. Right. And that's the hard part. You can't please everybody, right? You can't please anybody in team sideways. The people who have sold, who want prices to go lower so they can buy lower, or the people who have bought, who want prices to go up so they can make a profit. None of them are happy. And that means everybody's unhappy. You know who wins in team sideways? Do you know who the winner is? There is a winner in these chop sideways. See if anybody guesses it. Market makers, you got it, Melvin. There you go. And exchanges, yep. They're raking in the dough. Because everybody's just sitting there flip-flopping, indecisive, making lots of trades, actions, everything like that. Wrong footing, but indecisive and over-trading. And they're all making the money. So, okay. That's it. That's where we sit. We'll see if we can get ourselves a Santo rally. Just be mindful of the November 21st low. Moving on. Fed Chair candidate Waller says he will absolutely emphasize the importance of the central bank's independence to Trump. WBD tells shareholders Netflix deal is superior to Paramount offer. It was not a hard choice, Chairman tells CNBC. And something about tricolor systemic fraud. I've never even heard of tricolor before. Okay. Bitcoin institutional buys flip new supply for the first time in 6 weeks. Binance alleges fake list. Oh, I guess I skipped that. Okay. Binance alleges fake listing agents offers up to $5 million whistleblower reward, $5 million. Bhutan pledges 10,000 Bitcoin to develop its mindfulness city. Man, I was just thinking when I saw mindfulness city, man, remember metaverses? Does that exist anymore? Bitcoin institutional buys flip new supply for the first time in 6 weeks. Ronin and ZK Sync's on-chain metrics fell the most in 2025. UK regulator consults on crypto rules for exchanges, lending, and DeFi. Digital asset ETPs post a third straight week of net inflows led by U.S. demand. Crypto ATM operator to expand to Texas, citing friendly regulation. Bitcoin drops under 86K as $2.78 billion in Bitcoin whale selling overwhelms active dip buyers. Anchorage Digital deepens RIA market push by acquiring unit of SupercraSY. Bitcoin altcoin sell-off as Fed chair switch up. AI bubble fears spook markets. Okay. None of those things matter, but we'll pretend. This is a good question, right? I'll skip this one. Is there a part of you like WTF XRP? You were supposed to destroy the market, not join it. Have you fully processed XRP? Never went fully parabolic. Well, XRP's always moved with the market, so it's never been anything of being like destroying the market or doing its own thing. I've never bought into any of those narratives. I think it's all clickbait. I think it's all hopium influencer stuff, and I've never believed any of that because the data is very clear that it just moves along in trajectory with the rest of the market. Your question is a good question. Have you fully processed XRP? Never went fully parabolic. It went crazy parabolic here. These aren't small numbers, right? 50 cents to over $3. But when we were in here, I had to start that process a long time ago. So it didn't come shocking to me here because I started looking at it through that lens of, like I just told this story of what was going on. There was something weird happening right here. It didn't make a whole lot of sense why the crowd wasn't really excited in here. Then right here at this exact moment, like you guys know, I love to put the tinfoil hat on. The conspiracy theorist and that kind of wonky stuff in here. And that here we go. We hit this peak. And what is this exact moment right in here? That is the appeal being dropped by the SEC. So that's the official ending of the case. And so there were a lot of times when XRP was still in the 40 cents, in the 50 cents, that I was kind of like, how would you feel if the case ended at the top? Right? Everybody thinks that the case will end and will send the asset parabolic, but what would you think if the case ended at, and that was the end of the run? And so when that happened and it hit this, that wasn't actually too alarming for me. It should have been at the time, but it actually wasn't. The thing that then started getting me really weird about it is we kind of kept going like this. We kept going in this direction. And when this happened, like Brad Garlinghouse never acknowledged the official ending and the appeal drops, right? Like there was just silence coming from that side of the aisle. And that was really odd to me. And then it kind of kept going like that. I was like, dude, like we're all really excited. Why are you guys all quiet about it? I started saying to myself, and I started looking at the chart. I'm like, are they not wanting to be the reason? Are they not wanting to be the ones to say this is the top, don't buy it, right? Like, are they being quiet about it? So I started playing that like devil's advocate and that like kind of like weird stuff. And then we started really looking at it when we're in here. We're looking at it through the lens of like how Cardano started looking. And so this is where that processing had to start happening, and that's where that questioning of that belief had to start happening for me. And we started talking about live streams, videos, newsletters, everything like that of, being mindful. Did we get that? And was it a total fake out? So that processing happened quite a while ago. The thing I don't want, I think the thing that would be more disappointing to me would be if we do take out the floor. And I think it's very reasonable to think we will take out the floor, but hopefully it can act more like Tron. Just for a higher time frame structure, it would be really nice if we could just totally chill out and stay in here. Because when we see things do this, like when we go back and we look at things like HBAR, or we go back and we look at things like Cardano, assets that really did this back in 2021, and if they continued that and went for the plunge lower, did assets that made these structures, were they capable of getting back and coming back up above in 2025? No, they weren't. Cardano did not, and neither did HBAR. Both of them caught very nice rallies, but did either of them come back and clear these levels again 4 years later? They haven't. There was an example of one that did, and I actually have it right here, and that is Ethereum Classic, where it does go down there. It spends 4 years, right? Then it comes back up and goes surging, and it does hit based off of that. So it's not that it's impossible, right? But we've seen it doesn't like make it like confluence of where we can be like, hey, 96% of the time when this happens, then things turn around and go upside. We know that if we start going way down in here, we start opening up a lot of questions on whether or not it's going to get all the way back up again. So if it can hold this floor level in here, then what silly phrase would we get to start saying? We would just say, oh, look, it's a double tap on top of the high, bull flag, right? All that kind of stuff. We can do all that kind of stuff if we can just kind of continue to maintain this like Tron did, right? And so what I just, I don't hope for it. People don't think that I'm hoping for this thing to crash down to $1. It looks like it's going to crash down to $1, but I'm definitely not cheering for it. But the idea of, how have you processed, have you fully processed XRP, never went fully parabolic? I fully processed it in here. And that's why it was very difficult. And I even wrote in there, I had to make the very difficult decision to get into 50% cash. It was very, very difficult. And I went through all that coping and crying prior to the crash happening and be like, I got to do it. What you guys don't know is that, maybe you do know, sometimes I can never remember if I've told these stories or not. How long have I been live? Okay. A long time, 38 minutes. I haven't even gotten into the chat yet. We were doing Bear Week, right? And I had called my wife in. It was maybe 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night or something like that, which normally we were both passed out by that time. But, we're right here. And I call her in, and I set a chair up next to my desk and next to my monitors. And she's like, oh, boy. Let me sit down. I go, I need to tell you something. She goes, okay. I go, I'm going to get into 50% cash. And she just like puts her face in her hands of like, oh, no. This is going to make a nightmare. Knowing what the crowd was going to do. Because like you guys know it here in the chat. She's always in the chat. She's always seeing the comments on videos. She's always over there on X and stuff like that. And so she gets to see it. And so she knew the storm that was going to come. But I had to make that. I processed that reality once it really started to develop in here. And then that was that moment where I sat my wife down right there. Yeah. All right. But hopefully we can hold a floor. It doesn't look like it's going to, though, but hopefully we can. Okay. I've got to get into this chat, and I've got to move through it quickly. Okay, yeah. So this new layout that YouTube has isn't very good because there's none of the super chats in there. Okay, well, hopefully I don't miss anything. I'm going to do it this way. The Jake Fu show. What happens if I refresh this page? I hope it doesn't kill the stream, guys. Here we go. I'm hitting refresh. Oh. Okay. Hopefully you can still hear me. I'm just going to keep talking and pretending that you can hear me. Hey, and there we go. It's all there. Okay. Okay, so first things first, Chief Tame Blackbeard, every time right when I get the stream going and the waiting room going, he gives 50 memberships, and I'm so grateful to you, brother, and thank you so much for doing that, man. I never hear from him again in the stream, but it's what he always does right when we kick it off live. So thank you. That's how the stream got started. I appreciate it, man. Everyday airline pilot, member for 28 months, says, did you notice that Ethereum market cap hit its 2018 full fib extension earlier this year? A lot of market cap charts are absolutely destroying at the moment. Hope the fam are good. I haven't looked at that. That's a good thing to look at. But boy, I can't pull this up on every chart with how behind I am. The typical errors that I always make. of being a chatty Cathy. I don't know. Did it? Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that, huh? Oh, this one's weird because like when we go to a coin, when we look at it from the lens of coin market cap, it actually did hit it back here. I don't know why it's not how that calculation's different over here on trading view, but on coin market cap, we definitely hit it back in 2021. I unfortunately can't pull that up because I got this like chart set up here with all these things. I'll lose all my stuff if I take it off of here. But maybe we'll have that for next stream. But good eye. Zurich3, thanks BCB for all that you do. Just letting you know that I've been following your videos since 2021 and you really helped me get through the whole bear. Thank you, brother. Member for 1 month, man. Thank you. Johns Hubert, member for 25 months, says, how about that silver stack? I saw JP Morgan close out all their shorts and went long. So I have not closed any of my silver position. Long-time viewers of the channel would even know back to the coin roll hunting days, pre C19, right? We were doing that before C19. That I watch a lot of coin videos. I watch a lot of silver videos on YouTube. Like, I'm first of all, again, I am so grateful to be a part of your day. Every day that you choose to watch me, that I am that to you. That is insane to me. But just like everybody, like my wife and I, we of course we've got, you know, the streaming subscriptions and stuff like that, right? But like we don't have cable TV. I don't watch any of the stream. I don't watch the Netflix. I don't watch the Hulu, the Disney Plus, any of that kind of stuff. The only thing that we watch, my wife and I, is YouTube. So when it's time to rest and have some us time and just chill out and lounge around, we always pull up YouTube and I watch, forging people, melting metal, and, pouring bars and things like that, pouring, rounds and cool designs and everything like that. I totally want to do that. I want to melt my own metal, my own copper and everything like that. I know I'll hurt myself terribly doing it, but I want to do it anyway. I watch gardening videos. I watch coin roll hunting videos. I watch murder interrogation videos. I watch all that kind of different stuff. But that's part of my routine every day. But part of it also is paying attention to coin shop owners and what they have to say about the markets, because they're getting a good idea of what's happening with retail coming in and out. Are they buying? Are they selling? What's happening with premiums? Like right now, if you went to sell your silver to a coin shop or something like that, you're probably going to get like $4 or $5 back a spot. You're not going to get $65 an ounce to sell your silver right now. You're going to end up getting, 61, maybe. And that's because there's no retail demand right now. So there's no retail FOMO happening in the market at this moment. It's still people just coming in and selling. But they've been doing that since the 30s. And so, we have not reached a moment in the metals market where people are feeling desperate, like they're going to get left behind by it. And that's very intriguing to me, because when we were in the 30s and we were in the 40s, we were still seeing that. It's like why the coin shop owners are reporting people are just coming in and selling. They're not coming in and buying. Yet the price keeps ripping and all these people just keep selling and the price just keeps ripping and ripping and ripping. And so one thing I am paying attention to is where it's going to hit euphoria. Like, there's no way that's not going to hit euphoria at some point, and that there's not going to be lines outside of coin shops of the general public wanting to come in and buy it. It's going to happen, right? It is. So it's still nowhere to be found. And that's an interesting piece of it. But, when you say I saw JP Morgan close out all their shorts and went long, like, do you really have the ability to see that though? Like, do you really have, or is that like a news article or something? I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it. Jake Fusho says, is silver going to the 4.236 extension of the last peak? My brother, I sure hope so. this is the kind of setup that does it, right? Long accumulation, right? That this is the type of setup that does do something like that. It's your boy Al. Al, thank you, man. I've been following you since the end of 2019. Thanks for helping us navigate through this crazy market. What are your thoughts on ADA? Well, ADA is still one of the highest developed coins. Chart doesn't look fantastic. Chart doesn't look anything crazy. Obviously, their night token complementary to. I haven't been following it too closely lately, but we'll see, man. You know, Charles Hoskinson obviously isn't going to leave the limelight. So there's that benefit to it. There's a development activity to it. There's the community involved in it. It's got all the elements that you need for a successful like L1. But structurally in this environment, hard to say there's going to be anything significant happening right now. Not too thrilled. Thank you very much. That was very, very generous. Tactical Pew Pew. Do you think the Bank of Japan rate on Friday completes the B wave? I don't know. Every retail trader and their mom and their grandmother and their grandmother's dog is trying to do this Bank of Japan carry trade thing, right? What happens when something's broadcasted from a mile away, right? The market has enough time to kind of like hedge itself against whatever is going to end up coming. So I don't think the market's going to get wrong-footed by whatever's going to happen in any way. I think it's fully prepped for whatever is coming. And maybe even the Fed's moves last week were the precautionary approaches to head into it. But it's possible, right? Like when people create a doom narrative, right? I don't know. The Bank of Japan thing is a doom narrative, correct? When people create a doom narrative, by the time the doom arrives, that's where the reversal happens, right? Brandon Hammond, I'm a valued member of the community. Yes, you are, Brandon. You've been here a long time. 30 months, but you've been here longer than that, but member for 30 months. Thank you, brother. Spencer Guillemane, give us a Santa rally to end the year off. It would be nice, man. It wouldn't be great for my taxes, though. 2025 is going to be a nightmare. Degen, BCB, no moon questions, but is 8 to 10 still possible, or is the door closed? If closed short term, is the long term door still open, or are we looking at years before it's back? It's hard to answer with any definitiveness, and I know that's a very safe way for a YouTuber to say something like that, to be very broad and open. I would think if there's any chance of it happening soon, okay? If there's any chance of it happening soon, I would think it has to happen in here. Okay. Otherwise, I would want to see the floor be able to hold in a capitulation event if we go slamming into it and if Bitcoin goes slamming into it. Another thing is that if Bitcoin takes this path really quick, right, then what are we kind of hoping? Hoping that we can find support right down in here, which is also the 2021 all-time high, right? And that's what this whole thing has been, right? This thing that people have just disagreed with me, talk trash in YouTube videos and all that stuff has been this. No, that can't happen. That can't happen. I'll do this. This has been the argument the whole time, right? And hoping that's all that it's going to take to get there, right? Somewhere in there is $65,000, $69,000, and hopefully, right? Hopefully, dude. Oh, wait a minute. It can reverse quickly from there? What? Right? That path would be ideal, frankly. That would be an ideal path for us to get there. But it's just, right now it's hard to know Is this going to be the same type of stuff we see where we go there and then now we spend right now, if you were to look at it through the lens of a standard bear, a classic bear, this is the classic phase where the crowd is wrong-footed. Nobody believes it's a bear market yet. And we still haven't reached the phases where Luna, UST, Three Arrows Capital, Digital Currency Group, Celsius, FTX crash. We haven't done anything negative yet. That's exactly what this whole phase is. None of that happened. All that stuff happens in these types of phases, right? And so this is just the quiet fall. If you look at it through the lens of like past bears, we've had the quiet fall. Then comes the loud one, right? And then when the loud one comes, and if we do what we typically do, where we spend 1 year going like that, that's where sentiment is deteriorated tremendously, right? And that's where the pessimism, the negativity, the toxicity of X returns. Right now, it's just kind of coping fear, frustration. Then it becomes absolute throwing in the towel capitulation. There has not been a capitulation event right now, right? Like, reflect back on it, everybody. Reflect back really hard. When is the last time we've had some type of major move down where the 43% is the median fall and there's no fear? It only happens when we haven't had the fear yet. So, is it going to come? Where was I? Here. So you look at through that lens. If this is where we get to, if it has to spend a whole year, that's going to blow, right? It could take a long time. That's why this scenario right here isn't all that bad, man. And it's the one we keep looking at for a long time. It's not all that bad if it plays out like that. I mean, crash the thing, dude. Get it over with. Then turn it back up, right? Would be the ideal scenario. So every time we've been looking at it through this lens, right, this has always been the discussion. Right. So every time you've seen this thing, here we go. Go like that. Here we go. Wouldn't be all that bad. It just happened really fast, right? So I don't know which will come, and part of me does hope it is like that, right? That it's just kind of quick. Otherwise, if we have to go, so your answer, right, to answer your question why I don't know, you're saying, is that door closed? Is it door closed short term? Is it closed long term? It just depends on how this thing's going to go, right? Is this going to be very fast? Is this going to be drawn out like historical time periods does? If we're going to go like this, it's a long time away, right? Or if, XRP does what it did back in 2014 and something happens here. I think if nothing happens right in here, then get ready for the long haul, right? Get ready for the long haul. All right, I got to move faster. Why aren't we looking at Bitcoin as a crashing structure? It seems apparent in the daily as 6th wave rolled up to 4th wave and 5th already. Merry Christmas. Maybe. I guess obviously you still wouldn't have 7, right? Maybe 7 gets you to 69K. Thank you, Millman. I just look at it through higher context, right? So we could look at it through the shorter time frame of being like that, but then you have to say, okay, does that shorter time frame context matter if it's going to be more like that? right? So that's the contradictions like you have to have, right? Like, and again, like when we're getting to phases like this, when we're in this type of stuff, I have everybody screaming at me 12K, right? I have everybody screaming at me gloom and doom, we're never coming back and everything like that. And then it's always, and we get up here and we do that, and it's like, we're not going to head down. But you're just having to deal with these things at the same time, and everybody can take their own risks. They can play the game however they want to play the game. I'm just going to show you these to you, and try not to do the cognitive dissonance thing where we're going to pretend it's not there. We know it's there. Okay. We are all trying to predict the future. That's what we all do. We're all just sitting here trying to predict the future. But in the end, we only have the 2020 vision when it comes to hindsight, when we're able to look into the past. We don't have 2020 hindsight looking into the future. We just try to make our best educated guesses based on the data that's in front of us. Right now, this picture is very different from a lot of the other pictures we've seen when it comes to the macro complexities of all of it. But when it comes to the technical behaviors of it and the structural behaviors of it, right, they're all still very, very similar to what we have seen before. So there you go. Hello, Mato. Hey, any thoughts on the dominance MACD flip on monthly? Flipped red in August and looks growing. Yeah, I'm the one who presented that to the world a long time ago. And that's, of course, one of the bull's arguments. And it's a great argument. It's totally awesome. Yeah, it's just sitting there chilling, right? Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you got the Bitcoin dominance on the monthly time frame. It's never right. Well, just pull it over for the heck of it. Monthly. Burp, burp, burp. See, right, this isn't right. That's weekly. There you go. Right, we have a clear change. We've talked about this for months, and yeah, we definitely brought this up back in July. All this behavior happening in here, unlike anything ever before. And then, of course, that's been the hard thing for the bulls, and I totally understand it. It's why you didn't have a crystal clear picture, and why it was so difficult back in September and October to make decisions, because you had to go against this, right? That you've got this going on in here, but nothing has happened. And at this point now, what do you have? A median fall of 43, 42% happening in here, even with that thing still continuing to sit up there. Oh, now silver's back above $66 again. Now Bitcoin's at 89. There we go. So yeah, it's hard to make any draw from it. Old Ape says, I miss the live streams due to the time zones here in Tokyo. I hope the 702 crew is doing well. Thanks for keeping us updated, BCB. All the best. Thank you very much. And thank you, Hello Mato. Yeah, I've brought it up many times. There's no new insights to really bring to the dominance. Old Ape, I hope you're doing well, buddy. Ryan Renton, member. Look at this number. Is this insane? This is insane. What is the math on that? Gosh. Member for 64 months. Dang. Let's show some love. Number one way to support the channel is to hit the like with a bajillion Christmas trees along the way. Happy holidays, everyone. 702 group. Brother Ryan, thank you, man. We've got a little rip happening here, huh? Where's my weekly? This was my weekly. And then we started playing around with it. Really? This isn't it. It was this one. There you go. Robert Barker, member for 30 months. Hey, BCB, I sold everything on your advice. I didn't give you advice. And I didn't even say sell everything. 2 days before the liquidation. Thank you for all that. How would you advise coming back into the market? Thanks, Robert Barker. My wife is texting me saying, do we even frog anymore? Somebody must have said that. First of all, Robert, good for you. I wish I had done the same thing and sold it all. I had only gotten 50% out. Congratulations to you getting 100% out before the liquidation and still remaining that way until this point right here. For me, it's so hard to stay fully sidelined. And one, I can't advise you on how to get back in the market. I think you have a lot of kahunas to be fully sidelined. I don't know how to stay fully sidelined. Because like we talk about in this thing of being like most of your arguments are in the bear's favor. Most of them are in the bear's favor. You have a couple of them that aren't, that you have like these curveball things that are there, right? And for me, even on small stuff, I'm a DCAer when it comes to like if I'm really adding bigger positions, I'm DCAing into them. I don't know how to help you if you're an all in or all out kind of guy, man. I don't know. I think you have kahunas to be fully sidelined though. At this point right here. Now, of course, you're asking this right when XRP catches a pop back to $1.96 and Bitcoin's back at 89,000. It just depends on how you're going to play it. If you think there's a risk that altcoins will catch a big rally into this thing right in here, then you got a lot of kahunas to be sidelined currently right now. If you are in the belief that, yes, those higher time frame indicators are certainly going to matter in here and that we need to get through March, then the concept is to stay sidelined until March, right? And then once getting into March, then it comes allocation time all over again. I think the hard thing for the market that's coming up is if we get this, right? If we do get this, we will reach very similar levels of FOMO, euphoria, irrational exuberance, extreme risk taking, as we did here. The market will try to push it as far as it can to draw everyone back in if we get that. And to remember that I've said that is what a market will try to do. And before pulling the floor out from underneath, before pulling the rug out from underneath it. And so anybody fully sidelined saying, I'm going to accept that and be fully sidelined in the event that does end up occurring, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge emotionally in here in this market. And it doesn't sound like it right now, right? You may not think about that right now. But all you need is a couple of narratives. You need a couple of headlines. You need everybody bull posting on X. You need everybody cheering and hollering and everything like that. And trust me, all the emotions change, all the fear goes away, and all the excitement comes back. And anybody sidelined capitulates back into the market in these environments. So, it's just how you're going to treat it. If you're going to treat it like a full bear, it's still just step away until like March. And if you're planning on waiting and seeing on how things pan out, then I don't know how you're fully sidelined right now. To me, it's kind of crazy. I don't think I could personally, emotionally handle being fully sidelined right now. And that's just me. And so anytime we were talking about exit plans and things like that, it's always about what can you emotionally handle to where you're not going to create portfolio erosion. Portfolio erosion is going to be where you enter into these types of ranges and you're inappropriately allocated to what your emotions are at the time. Either you're underexposed or overexposed. And so what people will do is they'll sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, sell buy. And they're just doing the polar opposite of what the market is doing in here because they're so inappropriately allocated that they can't make a decision and they just erode their portfolio. Guaranteed there are... How many people are watching right now? 1,474. Guaranteed. At least 300 of these people watching right now just said, that's exactly what I've done. I keep buying every rip and selling every dip. Yeah. Oh, wow. Dude, let's look at this really quick. Got a nice little pop, huh? How about that? How about that? All right. How's the indicators looking? Good. Good. Can we get a Santa rally, guys? Let's go. I don't know. I can't advise you. One, congratulations to you for going fully allocated out of the market, but it's not like I positioned myself in that sense to sit here and know how to emotionally handle being fully sidelined right now. That's just going to have to be a personal thing. I'm not fully sidelined, so you kind of figure that out on how patient you're going to be. Silver Days member for 14 months says, let's go BCB, brother. Thank you. Texas Takeover member 32 months. My man, listen to Ryan and hit that like button. I don't know how many likes we have, but I'm sure it's not enough. I think we're at over an hour on the stream, an hour and 7 minutes into the live stream. If you haven't hit the like button, it is the number one way to support the channel. All you do is close the chat, hit the like, come back to the chat, and that's it. It means the world to me. Here we go. Flaggerty of 2. So no alt season. Developer activity didn't matter. $8 to $10 not happening. Russell 2000 didn't matter. This time was different. Disappointed. Guess so. Alexander Smith. Is there a part of you like, oh, wait, I already got that one, brother. He was the one asking about processing the parabola. Mr. Wilson, member, Super Chat. Thank you very much. It is so strange that the entire bull market was so different, but now the bear market looks exactly the same. Does that not rack your brain? Yeah, it's kind of wild. You know, the thing that just look, you know, and it's if we didn't have some of those blueprints to go off of and see them present in aspects like that, and it just kind of makes sense why there was not the euphoria here as there was back here. There wasn't the excitement over here as there was right in here, or like H bar looking exactly the same, right? We're just kind of seeing, unfortunately, in the market, diminishing returns, right? And what was the big resistance of the altcoin market? 2021's all-time high. And, you know, people thinking there couldn't be any resistance there at that all-time high, but it turns out there was. Yeah, but, and, you know, it's just like, dang, is it still just, you know, there was never any juice for anything meaningful to happen in broader markets at the same time? I don't know. I think it's just going to have to be so... Like, if this thing capitulates, like figuring out the coins, you know, questioning the altcoin narratives, right? Like, you know, we kind of use the kind of like are they just a lot of these? Are they just memes at this point? You know, when it comes to these altcoins being so selective. In 2017, it was like all you do is buy the top 10, right? 2021, all it was buy high development activity, buy lowest percentage drawdown, right? And reasonable inflation rates, right? 2025 was, you know who's the real winner, guys? You know which one was the real winner? 2025, shallowest drawdown. So, like, if we're heading into a really big bear and a bigger fall is coming, you immediately knock those out. Like, those are these are where, you know, you're paying attention to at that point. Anything well below median, these, you get what I'm saying? Like, that was our performing group, and that's our consistent performing group. Whatever catches a bid during a bear and is able to maintain a higher floor tended to do better. And that was the fascinating thing about XRP when everybody was moaning and complaining about Solana, was that Solana, you know, didn't get above 2021's high and like close above there, whereas XRP did, right? And because XRP didn't take as deep of a fall as Solana did. Binance Coin didn't take as deep of a fall, right? Bitcoin didn't. Tron didn't. All of these things go on. And so things that did consistently repeat again were shallow drawdowns, and paying attention to that. We get caught up into the allurement of seeing something fall 98% and thinking, oh yeah, that fell 98%. That means it's got to go back to the all-time high. Can you imagine the percentages? And what we keep seeing now, multiple cycles in a row, is no. John is 8YC, member for 21 months. Brother, thank you very much. Matty B, member for 35. And no recommendations for good silver price analysis videos. Merry Christmas. No, especially with silver, it's such a slow moving asset. Like, I get it. This is dramatic. It's huge. It's big. But still, it has taken over 2 months to get from 50 to 65. Right? In the world of crypto, we can do a 36%, 35% price swing in a matter of days, right? We know we can do that in crypto. Everybody's got their own speculative numbers on there. I think it's probably going to 4.236 of 1980. But there's probably going to be a lot of back testing along the way, and how long that is going to take is the big question. Whenever prices are moving up parabolically or very quickly, the crowd gets drawn in very quickly. They buy it, and then it pulls down, and then it takes 6 months to get back there. And most people aren't, especially coming from a crypto background, if you come from that type of chaos background, this is not the market for you. Right, like all the coin roll hunting stuff, that was all back in here, man. And just how slow and long it's taken. But no, I don't think there's really anybody out there making daily silver content. Curious why XRP and not ADA for a short-term trade. This was simply due to an easy invalidation level. Structurally, it seems like market makers have it programmed right in here. And then it was very easy to just grab and have invalidation right there. Right? And still, I don't know if it's going to get taken out. It could be. It doesn't really matter to me, right? But this was just real easy to grab for an ABC. But thank you, Sean Gallagher, my man. Thank you. It's your boy. Oh, I got you, man. Thank you very much. It's your boy says, are you still in ADA? Yeah, I still own ADA. I think it's my number 4. Number 1 is XRP. Number 2 is Ethereum. 3 is Bitcoin. 4 is ADA. Matthew, member for 9 months. Could ETH be doing a big expanded flat off the 2021 high, with 2022 low being the completion of the wave and the recent high the completion of B? Of the A wave, okay. And so, in other words, this would be wave. The whole thing in itself is 4th wave, right? It's a hard one. I'm going to buy it. Like, I'm going to tell you I'm going to buy it. Whether it's that clear to call it that or not, I'm not sure. I think we'll have to see more come in here to determine that. Typically, right, on an ABC, on those you have ABC, ABC, then what do you need here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need 5 waves to end it, right? So on an ABC, you have ABC, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to complete the thing. I'm not sure if it's going to give that, right? So Elliott wave theory, of course, is subjective, right? And it's in the eyes of the beholder most of the time. There are some specific rules that need to be followed, but those rules get lenient in different phases. For example, the most common rule that everybody thinks they understand is that wave 4 cannot cross through the plane of wave 1, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is, it's never allowed for that. In which, yes, it is allowed as long as you're in wave 1, you can do that. Or if you're in wave 5, you can do that. The only place you can't do that is here in wave 3. It's the only place you can't do it. Or if you're in a full Elliott wave, it won't happen in here, because typically it's going to be more like this. It's going to be way up here. It's not even going to come close to it. But then it gets lenient, and then, you know, we get into ABCs, and then we get talking about expanded flats, and we get talking about extended flats, and then we get about running flats, and we get all these different things, and they get all things, and we all morph them and everything to suit our needs. The thing I'm watching for right now is simply if we can do something similar to that, right? In this phase, the A wave equaled the C wave. It was identical. They were 100% a perfect match on them. You know, now it's to see how high is a C wave going to get, if there's going to be a C wave in here. And if so, right, give a kind of ballpark idea on where a low is. Like, there's obviously inefficiencies in here. Look at these breakouts that have never gotten tested. There's areas down in here to get it. But I refuse to believe, and I know XRP holders hate hearing this, I refuse to believe Ethereum is not going to be something very big. Because if Ethereum's not something big, then most of crypto is nonsense. Like, and I think we all know most of crypto is nonsense, but really, like, everything in crypto is nonsense if Ethereum doesn't succeed. It's the powerhouse of it. You can live, again, like we just talked about cognitive dissonance. I think a lot of people live in the cognitive dissonance when it comes to rivalries and tribalism in crypto of what things are. Some of the nonsense, of course, is the Bitcoin maxis, and they intentionally like mislead about Ripple and XRP and all that kind of stuff, right? But then there's the XRP people who intentionally talking about Ethereum when, like, Ethereum most developed, most worked on, most built on, whereas XRP doesn't really have a lot on it, right? Like, there's a clear difference. One of them clearly has a whole lot more being done on it. So if Ethereum doesn't succeed, then it's very hard to see how a lot of the altcoins succeed and how anything in the crypto industry really succeeds outside of the, you know, send money from here to there, and what determines whether or not sending something from here to there has any true value. And we can just do that with stable coins, right? You could play the hedge against, well, we have to own it because it has to hedge against inflation. Well, can't we just own the stable coin? It's like, okay, like, do I have to own the XRP asset, or could I just own the stable coin on XRP and still do the same thing? I can still do money from point A to point B, but I don't have to own the XRP. You know what I mean? Anyway, if there's a narrative for the token in itself to have value, you would think that they would think that Ethereum would have to be successful. And so if you want to define this as that, I don't see it too clearly right now to call it that, unless it's like this, and then something develops, and then later we're like, there it is. It's clear as day. And sometimes that's how it is. And like times right now where it's so difficult, and there's the contradictions of the market, and like we talked about earlier, then there become moments in time where it becomes very clear. I told the story a lot of back in 2021, that moment in time where I would was in my kitchen, I was on my phone, I was preparing my morning shake, which is oats, Greek yogurt, banana, blueberries, blend it all up, chug it on down, boom, got all my food groups for the day, for the morning. But I'd seen BC on my phone. Something came through, and the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, came on and said, I think it's a great asset. I think everybody should have Bitcoin and Ethereum in their wallets or in their investment portfolio. I'm like, top. That's it. Top. Ran to my computer, yelling top, recorded videos, top. Sometimes it just happens suddenly, right? And it was kind of like that over in here, that like it wasn't truly apparent until we got right there, right? And so like we'll look for those things, but I don't know if they're going to show up and become like screamingly apparent until we get there. If you follow what I'm saying, I didn't ramble too much there. I got to get moving. I've been streaming for an hour and 20 minutes. This is where my brain starts to fall apart when I try to keep it at an hour. Degen, is BCH priming to make a breakout and make a move like Zcash or anything you see in BCH that looks like potential upwards move? Okay, first of all, BCH has looked strong, but gosh, man, can we just leave me alone? Oh man, this is again. Okay, BCH does look strong, but I don't want to say it's going to do it. I don't want to jinx it, right? It's clearly been stronger than most assets. Can you believe it? You can see it right there. There, Monero of the top 20, right? Bitcoin Cash still holding up very strong. It's very interesting to see how well Bitcoin Cash has held up compared to everything else. Whereas you got Hedera down like 48%, right? Avalanche down 60. Bitcoin Cash only down 7. But I think everybody, of course, is looking for the next alpha play. I don't want to pull up the chart because I do not want to start that all over again, you guys. There's no benefit for me to do it. You guys have not worshipped the floor I walk on for Zcash after harassing me. Harassment. Utter harassment for years. Oh, okay, it hit. Done. Whatever. We move on. Good luck with Bitcoin Cash, man. It's up. It's back above 2021 levels. In good luck. I don't really want to touch it and talk about it. D55. Do I own some? Do I have some exposure? Yes, but yeah, if y'all super chat about it, I'm probably not going to acknowledge it. Hello, Mato. D5Fab2688, new member, welcome. Hello, Mato. Silver is 8% off of the 4.236 from 2020 high to 2022 low. That's the top, in my opinion. Okay. I do not agree, sir. I do not agree. Now, I think it's probably going to backtest that 1980 high at some point. I think we'll see $50, $45 silver again at some point, and maybe aggressively at some point. I don't think it's the top. I think it's got a long ways to go. Nick Mirando says XRP is pumping. Yeah, well, that's the hard part too. Like, okay, so first of all, this is exactly what we do want to see for this, right? For a Christmas rally, right? End of year rally. Boom, there we go. That's some nice move. There's some nice renewed strength happening in here. We haven't seen strength like this in over a week. So good. But again, these are the emotions of the market that are so difficult in here, right? So technically speaking, just a back test in here, right? Hasn't done anything more than that. And that's why these things have been annihilating people. That's why it's very hard to create content right now. Because I don't agree with what most content creators are doing by hyping the crowd up as the price keeps going down. I'm just not in agreement with that. Because there's no evidence pointing to what they're talking about. It's just for clicks. I think we have our strongest case, the case you could present for like a short-term, couple-week-long rally. I think you have that case. I don't think it's guaranteed, but I think you have the case to say it could be coming in. Right? And again, Bitcoin still just continues to hold in there. But be careful of every time you see the price move 3% that you think it's pumping. That's probably led to a lot of portfolio erosion over the last several weeks, I'm sure. So, okay. Gosh, how do I end this on a high note? How do I end it on a high note? Because it's going to be our last markets in the morning for a little while as we head into the holidays. I think you have a case to argue, right, for a couple of a week rally. Again, I think that let me put this back on here, 8 hour. Major thing to watch for right here is that there isn't a quick turnaround, right? So when I've been monitoring this and this structurally on this whole thing, this is what you would expect. What we literally got to witness right here in markets in the morning is a throwback. So if it flips over quickly in the coming days and just starts shooting down, then maybe we get through this a lot faster. Personally, for my own sake, I would rather it do that because I don't want to sit here for months doing this stuff. You guys don't like it. Like, I know you don't like it. Look at the viewership. But I'm not going to change my tune to appease people tuning in. It's either you care about getting the clear picture or you want your hand held and the warm milk and the back scratch, even if it's lies. So anyway, keep an eye out for it being kind of like that here in the coming days. Otherwise, if it can catch some steam in here, then I think we have the argument for a Santa rally for a couple of weeks. I have to still preface that by continuing to say there's contradictions in the market. Our higher time frame indicators clearly point downward, okay? And so when we talk about all of these different things, we are trying to guess ranging price action in a downtrend, right? That's what we're trying to guess. So take that for what it is. Higher time frame does point down. We are guessing ranging action in that down. That's not a high point. I said, how do I end this with a high point? That wasn't it. Let's try again. No, I think what it really is that I don't want to do what everyone is doing, and that they're hyping people on data. That's just not true. That's how I feel. I probably should keep those thoughts to myself and not show that I feel that way, but that's how I feel. I don't think there's honesty out there right now. I think it's a mix of cognitive dissonance. It's a mix of trying to get likes and trying to get that, and I don't think the data supports it. I think the data can argue for sure for a rally to take us to finish off 2025 with drawing hope back in. I totally think that could happen. But you know, all right. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I'm getting out of here. So, all right, there we go. $1.97 for XRP, almost 90K for Bitcoin. Still be cautious. We'll still show the things that are going on in there. Not to lose picture of the bigger time frame stuff that is happening. We just take it day by day, right? We're going to be okay. We're going to get through this period. We always get through periods. And there will be the day again where I come back on and irrationally bull post and create my arguments. And instead of people yelling at me that prices are going to go up, they're going to yell at me that prices are going to go down. I look forward to those days. And we will get there, you guys. We will get there. And we just got to have things working in our favor for that. And so there's things that have to be resolved. I think you know that. I think people who are saying otherwise, they know it too. You know it in your hearts of hearts, man. Right? Like, come on. Don't hate me. Don't hate the messenger, dude. Like, you get it. All right. I'm out of here. That's how I can end you on a high note. This won't last forever. We'll get through it. And then we'll be right back to it. And then hopefully we have a whole new set of people who are like, hey, you know, I handled that better than I handled it last time. And I'm excited to move forward. And I'll be that way too. So, all right. I love you guys. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in. I hope I didn't miss any of the any of the super chats or any of the messages. I'm very grateful for all of them. Here's a high note to end it.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, dudes.
All right. Hey, so here's another piece of data, right? So here's things I could look at. So I just picked up my phone, right? And so I've got my blockchain backer account, right, for X. I got an alt account too, right? And my alt account gets a notification, and it's blockchain backer, and it says, XRP has moved right on pace with past bear markets. Seems like a place to find a bounce. Blah 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 blah. Whether it's just going to be a C leg and an ABC correction, or it's anything like that, right? That tweet gets way more likes because it's talking about like a bounce, or it's talking about upward price actions compared to like the tweets that are like about Ondo, the ones about Hodera, the ones that are about Bitcoin that are like, hey, these are like dying, right? Those ones don't get very many likes. But then you talk about, like a potential little bounce, so many likes, right? I think that just tells you something. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Like, man. And that one gets more viewership, more that it even gets even X's algo says to push that as a notification to my other phone, to my other account. You know what I mean? Rather than the other ones. There's a lesson in there somewhere. I know there is. All right. Dang it. I keep bringing it down. All right, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll check in with you guys very soon. And maybe I'll be more active on X. I don't know. I'm done. I'm rambling. This is what an hour and 30 minutes into this is like, and why I treated to keep it in an hour. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the newsletter that was just posted a couple of days ago, 2 days ago. It's got a 52-minute audio recording in there. Have a wonderful day. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.